Elementaries. I hit the wrong link, so I was just sitting there with the elementary kids. Yeah.
You know what? We had an elementary teacher that just hit the wrong link to join ours. So you're not the only one.
Yep, see, I want to say hi,
bye. Not a problem. You're definitely not alone in that.
Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody again to our calendar, Schoology Calendar session. Just like all of the others that we've done this morning so far, you can get PD credit. Make sure you put this on your PD log. This session will only be 30 minutes, so you want to make sure that you get that on there and see your building PD person if you have any questions about that. Also, just like the other sessions, we want to make sure you can ask questions. So ask questions in the chat. Either Trish or I will respond to those as we go along. So without any further ado, that was supposed to take 5 minutes. Sorry, Trish, that was quick. I'm not a long talker here, but go ahead and I'm going to turn it over to Trish for our checklist.
Thank you, Robin. Yeah, honestly, I think this whole session might go a little bit quickly. I know all of these names that I'm seeing here that have joined, and for everyone that is going to be watching this later, you are not unfamiliar with Schoology Calendar, and we do understand that for most of you, this is going to be an affirmation of what you are doing, not brand new information. But what I do want to point out is, we haven't really done a lot of official Schoology instruction since we launched this several years ago. And I can't tell you how many times people have come to me, and this happened to me too, where I've been using a tool for years, and all of a sudden I find out that there's some new piece to it that I didn't know existed, and it was like, oh, wouldn't it have been nice to know that this whole time? So we just want to make sure that everybody's starting off on the same page, considering, this year it is, for the middle school, it's always been a requirement that we post homework assignments, but it's a little bit different this year. We're posting all of our classroom events. And for the high school, this may be new for some teachers. So we just want to kick everybody off on the same consistent, calibrated foot to get started. So we don't have anybody later saying, man, I wish I knew I could add a link into an event description. I didn't know that, well, after today you will. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to screen share here, and I'm going to pull up our checklist. Officially, our kind of expectations and requirements for using Calendar this year are to use that to give assignments and due dates in other classroom events. And we want to also let you know that you can include narratives for activities, you can do directions, you can add direct links into those calendar events and add them for assignments too. But basically, course calendars provide a consistent place to communicate all your classroom events, whether that's a project due date, whether that is a homework assignment, a test coming up, a celebration you might be having. Okay, whatever is happening in your classroom, we can put on these calendars. And then for our students and parents and families, no matter what grade, teacher, team, department they're working in, whatever it is that they're doing, they all have one consistent place to go to stay up to date. I mean, in the end, what we really want from all of our kids is to not miss deadlines and to know what they need to do for homework and to know what they need to do for their assignments. So when we're all using Calendar consistently, it makes that a lot easier. They always know where to go, and they always know where these pieces are posted, and so do the parents. So that was some of the feedback we got from the spring for the assignments and the calendars were, everybody kind of has their own spin on it. Everybody does it a little bit different, but it makes it really hard for families and students to find things when they're not always face-to-face, and they can't just ask you, and every teacher does it a different way. So again, we're asking that you post all of your due dates and events in your Schoology course calendar. And that way students, parents, and you can all see what's happening and what's coming up. And that way it keeps everybody on the same page. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up Schoology now. And we're going to dive into this whole calendar piece. And chances are it won't take too long because a calendar, it's really a pretty simple tool. There's a couple of ways that you can get to it. The first way I'm going to show you is from the top maroon bar here with your little calendar icon. So that is going to take me over to my whole page for calendar. Okay. One thing I want to point out is just like a Google Calendar, these calendars are, you can layer them so you can see. So right now, these are all of the courses that I am in, groups for that matter, that I am enrolled in. Because I'm an admin, I'm enrolled in a lot of them, but your students' layers won't look quite like this. They're drop-down box. But you can check and uncheck the calendars that you want to see at any given time. So this is definitely something that for yourself, you want to make sure that all of your courses are checked, and for your students, this is a nice learning tool for them. Sometimes if they've got a lot going on that week, their calendar can get a little bit messy and it get a little bit overwhelming because they might have a lot of assignments due on any given day. They can go through and just look at one class homework assignment at a time. The caveat to that is they need to make sure that if they uncheck a course calendar, that they go back through and recheck it so they're not missing those dates on a later time when they want to see all of their homework assignments for all of their subjects and not just one. The other thing I wanted to point out is Schoology automatically creates a me or a personal calendar for all of the users. The students have this and all staff members have this as well. So for me, and they're color coded. So I can see that I have my me calendar is this blue color. This test course that we're going to talk about here is this kind of orangish color. And then, I have different colors for different calendars as well. So then when I click off of that and I scroll down to my events, they're all color coordinated, so I can see my personal events and my Schoology events. Now for you, you may not use Schoology for a personal calendar. You could hide that personal calendar and then you won't see events from it. You're only going to see your course events. So it depends on how you add an event, if it goes on that personal calendar or not. So that's definitely an option. All right, so you can add events in a couple of different ways too. I'm going to go over from here just a basic add an event, and we're going to do some in viewing events and deleting events, and then I'm going to turn it over to Robin, and he's going to talk about adding events straight from your course. So that could be through an assignment. With any of those assignments, if you put a due date on there, it's going to automatically show up in your calendar. So you only have to put it in one place. It's going to show up in your course and in the course calendar. So you're good to go. And then students can see it from either location. Okay. But to add an event into your calendar, it's very similar to Google. You guys are all probably pretty familiar with that. You just click on the day. It's going to add an event. I can choose to add an event. I can choose to make an assignment. Like I said, I'm going to let Robin take care of that in a few minutes here. But you do have that option right from the main calendar screen. So I'm going to give it a date. Right now it's on the 28th. Okay, I can give it an end time if I want to. I'm going to give the title a description. So we're going to say homework. And I'm going to say that is to create an event on a course calendar. Okay, so I can give it a title. Here in the description, I've got my editing toolbar, just like I do with pretty much every other Schoology text box you have, okay? We can insert, we can type, this is where, whoops. We can add descriptions, details, you get the idea, okay? We can add links into these calendar events, just with the link button. You can insert content just like you can in the Schoology page or assignment. Like I said, pretty much any other area where you can type in Schoology, you get the same toolbar up top. So we can add all of these same things in here as well. So maybe I add a link to the Schoology Wakelet for how to submit work in Schoology. Sorry, I'm typing quickly. All right, so if I wanted to do that, I can make this whole thing a link. And I think that's the last thing I copied. We'll find out. Yep, it is. So that's my Wakelet here. So I'm going to click insert. Okay, so now I've just made this whole thing a link that students could click on and get to resources on how to submit work in Schoology. Okay, you can add an audio recording if you want to record yourself giving those instructions to your students. You can add a video recording. You can add resources. Like I said, pretty much everything you can do anywhere else in Schoology, you can do to a calendar event too. These options down here, okay, this is where it's going on my personal calendar. So if I don't want it on my personal calendar, this is a course, then I'm just going to click the X and take me off of it. But what I could do is start typing the name of my course. which is in this case, test course section 1. That's going to push it out to that course's calendar. And then everybody enrolled in that class will be able to see this event. I'm going to click create. Okay, and now I have this homework event on my calendar. When I click on it, you can see more information, and I can edit it. So as the one that added the event, I can click on edit. It takes me right back into this control box here, this editing screen, and I can make any changes that I want. Save the changes when I'm finished. Okay, and I can also view it. And this is something you're going to want to teach your students to do, okay? Because if they just look at the calendar event and they don't actually click on it, they're going to miss any of those instructions or links or resources that you might have added in there. So definitely walk your kids through this, have them click on the event. They can see it from here. They can even view the item all the way open and see everything there is to see. One question I do get fairly often is, how do I delete a calendar event? Because as you can see, if I go back to my calendar, come on, and I click on the event, there's no delete button here. And even in the edit option, there's no delete button here either. Okay, so if you add something that you need to take off later, you need to click on view. And then from view, now I can go through and say delete. So you actually have to open it up before you're able to delete the event. That's the only thing on calendar that I find a little less than intuitive. Everything else is kind of right there at your fingertips, like it would be with any other program within Schoology. I know I went through that kind of quickly, but I also know that for most of you, this is a review. So does anybody have any questions on accessing your calendar from the main calendar page?
There were a couple of questions in the chat, Trish. The first
Sure.
one was, do calendars default as unchecked? That is a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
I don't think they do. I think if it's an active course, they default to checked, but I am not 100% certain on that. So I would definitely check on that for your calendars as soon as we get the Schoology courses loaded, and definitely teach your kids to check that too. Because the reality is, whether they are defaulted that way or not, kids have a tendency to check and uncheck things because they like to click around. And so just teaching them that that is a thing, and if they can't see the homework assignments, that's where they need to go to see them, is just a good rule of thumb to start with.
Okay. And along with that, the suggestion was made that we should tell freshman teachers to have students click the classes that they need. They should only see active courses in their calendar drop-down menu, but that is a good idea to just, in general, the first day of class, walk your kids through, showing them where those calendars are and making sure that they're clicked so that they see those assignments in general. And then another question is, when we are in person, should we put assignments we do in class on the calendar? If it's an ongoing assignment and it has a due date, I would say absolutely yes to that. That gives them a place to go to see their overview of your whole class. So even if it's not an assignment that you turn in Schoology, I would suggest you putting that on the calendar. That's kind of our whole expectation here, is to make sure that we're communicating with our students and our parents. And this would be the go-to place to find out what assignments are due, whether it's in Schoology or in your class in general.
Absolutely. And, you know, you got to remember too, kids are going to be absent. And we've always had absences, you know, as far as school's ever been around. So it's going to be nice for just general absences as well. But now, you know, even like I said earlier, even if we're face-to-face, you might have students that are working from home, whether because they're sick or they're quarantined or both. So having that consistent online space where all of your assignments are listed, whether they're in school with you or at home, they always know they can go to that course calendar and see what's happening for the day.
And then last question before we move on to the next section. If you put a calendar event through the calendar icon and then add an assignment, we're talking an assignment type in Schoology, will that put it in double for that calendar? Yes, it will. So if you're adding, and that's kind of leading into our next part of this session here, if you're adding an assignment type in Schoology, it will put that due date on the calendar. It will not put a range of dates, but the date that the assignment is due will show up on their calendar. So having said that, let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll just move right on to the next. Well, let me pull it up here first. And we'll move on to that next section. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. All right, so I'm going to go into a course here. And I'm going to add an assignment. Where is it? There it is. So again, you can add the description for your assignment right here. You guys, I'm sure, are pretty adept at doing this at this point, but you give the assignment a title, a description. We're not going to go into making it a Google assignment right now, but this is the part we're going to pay close attention to here. So you want to give it a due date. Let's say, what is today? The 26th. So I'm going to say that this is due on Friday, and you can give it a time. Give it a category, and create that assignment. Now you can see right over here in the right-hand side of the Schoology course, that student can now see that there is a test coming up on Friday the 11th. The 28th at 11 a.m. Okay, that test assignment is due on that date. The odd thing about this is that if it's due today, it is not upcoming. So they won't see that in this list. Okay, it will only appear when it is upcoming. So that I think it's 24 hours out, it will disappear from upcoming and it's now in current. The student will actually have to go into the calendar to see that. You can access the course calendar by clicking this little icon right here next to upcoming, and that shows you exactly what's going on in that course, rather than going up here and selecting all of the course calendars. When you're actually inside the course, to see the due dates and things for this specific course, you just click that icon and that will bring that up. Okay. Likewise, if I want to change the due date on that, I just simply go in and edit that. Change the calendar date. I'm going to go ahead and change it to today at, I'm going to change the time here so that you can see that that disappears. 5 p.m. Now if I refresh that page, well, it's stuck there. Made me a liar. Sometimes it goes there, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe if it's updating, it appears in that upcoming section. I'm not sure why that's there. But you can also add an event directly to the course from there. So you don't have to go through the main calendar and select which courses which course calendar it's going to. You can just add it directly to this course calendar from this page. Let's see. Trish, that was all I was supposed to cover, right? Is there anything else that I need to cover about assignments and courses? The thing that you have to remember about assignment dates is that it only shows the due date. So if a kid is looking at their calendar here, it's only going to show up when it's due. So let me turn off this. It's only going to show when it's due. So here I can have a range of dates for a project or an assignment when I add it to the main calendar. Let me go back here. When I add an event, I can choose to add a range of dates here. And that won't necessarily show up in the upcoming events either, but it will be available when they click on the actual calendar and can see that that is an ongoing project in their calendar.
And that's definitely something to consider with a lot of these due dates, is if the students are supposed to be working on them ahead of time, especially if for families and people that are trying to support them, it's really good to see that range to know this is due maybe, in a week, but we need to be working on it now. You don't want them to have that due date pop up on the day it's due and they've put no work into it, and so now it's not going to be in on time. That's something to kind of think about with the way you post your homework too. If it's if you do it through that assignment in Schoology, it will show up on the due date. Whereas I know some teachers, if they're not doing it through Schoology, will post tonight's homework on today's date, even though it's due tomorrow. So it shows up on the calendar today because they have to do it tonight. So whatever way you're going to post those, make sure the due date is clear and you have that whole title and text section to add information. So if you are posting tonight's homework and it is due tomorrow, make sure you specify that in that calendar detail that says this is tonight's homework, but it is due on, August 27th or whatever date that is. So just something to kind of consider when you're posting all this information up on the calendar, is how your viewers are going to see it and interpret that. Now
I see some questions in the comments about having to change the assignment date. So what happens is if you enable in the assignment that they are allowed to turn it in late, you'll see a little red icon next to the name of the assignment that they turned it in late. You don't have to change the date on the due date on the assignment if you still want them to turn it in. It'll just show that they turned it in late. Let's see.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So I'm confused. I'll put myself up here. How do I make the assignment that has a due date that maybe is a Wednesday, but I'm giving the assignment on Monday? How do I make the Monday's assignment show up and then say that it's due on Wednesday? I don't want it to only be on the calendar on Wednesday. I'd like it to be on the calendar on Monday. That's when I'm assigning it. But then I want to give them the due date that's later. How do I get it on the calendar Monday and still have the due date on Wednesday?
So this is what I would suggest to you. You're going to have to do double duty. So when you create the assignment, you're going to give it the due date. That's what puts it on the calendar for the date that it's going to be turned in. What you then would probably need to do is to create an event in the calendar that said, today was the assignment for this. It is due on this date. Like Trish showed you at the beginning, you can put that flavor text in there so that they understand that this is when it was assigned. You can look at, and you can even put the due date in that text for the assignment. But that due date, unfortunately for assignments, the due date is just what it is. They haven't given us any other options for stretching that out to be a project-based kind of thing. So
when I was posting homework really, this is how I've always done it. I go to my course and then I click on the calendar there. It takes me to the calendar and then I just write whatever and that's fine, right? Because you can copy and paste too if there was something that you needed to be on the calendar many days in a row, but that's all right, isn't it? Doing it that way?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. The key is to use it as a communication tool and making sure that students know when something is due and if you choose when it has been assigned. So yeah, absolutely, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not asking you guys to change the way you've used Calendar. If for those of you that have been using this for years, we're just making sure that everybody's aware of how Calendar works and all the tools that you have available and that you just are using it. Right. So we're still giving you flexibility on how you post those events and assignments and due dates.
Okay.
And Dawn, it will show up if you put in the range, like you say, if you put it in there on Monday and it's due on Wednesday, as long as you put that assignment start and assignment end, it'll show up for all of that. And then like they said in the description, you could just say due Wednesday.
Okay, so it'll show up even if I only put in an assignment, as long as I put in a range of dates, it'll
just
show
make
up
sure
on
you
the
add
tool.
that. Yeah, like
Yeah, because if you add the assignment and add assignment and start it on Monday, and then you say it's due on Friday and show that range, it'll show those dates.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
are you guys talking about a calendar event or an actual assignment? I don't know,
An
Robin.
assignment.
Right.
An
So
assignment.
with the assignment itself, I'm not seeing a way to put a range in there.
It's you have to put the assignment end date. It's
But
the
will
same
it,
as the range.
okay, so I'm going to share my screen so everybody can see the same thing. Okay, so here's the due date, but there's no start date. So if I post this today, but don't make it due until the 31st, it's not going to show up until the 31st, right? Or are you saying it's going to show up from here on out?
It would,
See what I'm saying? Oh, category field is required.
I thought there was a way that you could show it start and
yeah,
finish.
there's a way you can show the start. Maybe you have to create it and then go in and.
Well, but see, I think that's the difference between an assignment and an event. If you create an event on the calendar, like if I just if I look at my calendar here, okay, I just have this test that I just added. It was from an assignment and I only had the option to put a due date. But let's say I want to create an event for a project. So if I click on today's date, now I can do from here. Wait, how did you
Add an end time. Click add end time.
there we go. And then now I could do the 31st. Can we do that in the assignment too?
I don't think so. I don't think you can do that in an assignment.
So let's see what happens. Okay, so now here's my range that I just did an event, but this is the actual assignment. So I'm going to go and edit my assignment, and I don't believe, see, I can't, this is the due date. I can't make a end time other than a time of day, right? Like, so there's on the actual assignment piece, there's not a way to make that range, at least that I can see. But on an event, then you can add that start date and due date and end date. Does that make sense? Are you seeing that too, Alyssa?
Yeah, I think it is an event. And I do think this is where Robin would say, do the double duty there of if you want to give it a range.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's definitely an option. I know it's not perfect because you have to put it in twice, but the assignment is going to automatically be posted on there anyway because it is due. And if you're already collecting it through Schoology, you're already going to create that assignment one way or the other. So that's the plus side, at least with that assignment, is it'll pop on there for you automatically, and then you can just go back there and add that as an event, and then add your date range to show up on multiple days. Well, those are great questions and great suggestions.
But also, if you are making an assignment and you wrote start week 9/7, whatever, 2020, then in that assignment, they would know. I mean, you could write it in there like the due date is this, and then and then the assignment would end the end date if it's in your instruction. This was the start date. But I guess you guys want it all on the calendar.
Well, if you give an assignment in class and it's Monday and you're going to say this assignment is due Friday, I don't think you need to put an event in for every in-class assignment as long as that assignment is on the calendar for the due date. Does that sound legit, Robin and Becky? I know Becky's on here too. I mean, I don't think for every classroom assignment we have to put it in twice. If you want it to show up for the work time, you can. But if you're just giving the kids a week to do it, I think posting it as an assignment and just having it on there for the due date is also acceptable.
Is there a way to link the assignment to in the view item, like on the calendar where you do the date range, where you can attach links and stuff? Is there a way to attach a Schoology assignment in there?
You're talking
Never
about
tried.
You're talking about like an event.
Yeah, like on the calendar where you guys made the date range, you can attach all these other different things. Can you attach a Schoology assignment in there?
Unfortunately, no, because the link that you would choose to post that assignment would be a teacher link.
Oh,
And then when the kid clicks on it, they don't have access to the teacher view of it. So no.
It's
Dan
not like a
was-
gated link where they'd have to log in or anything?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
good thought though.
Yeah.
I thought it might work.
Okay, I found something different. I'll put on.
All right. Does anybody have any other Schoology calendar questions?
I don't have it's not Schoology calendar. It's about your Wakelet, which love that because
Thank you.
that's a ton. I mean, I had all the kids asking me those questions. There's just one is asking me for permission
Oh, sorry
to
about that.
access it. It's how to submit a picture from a phone, which love that one because kids always have a phone to take pictures. It was just asking me for permission.
Okay, I will definitely go in and fix that. But I will say that one I need to edit a little bit more. Right now, it was the screencast of my phone, but it wouldn't record my voice, and it doesn't actually show where I'm tapping on the screen. So let me fix that. And we have our video account set up again, so I'm going to go through and add the audio and some visuals to actually show that, and then I will open that up and keep that video in the Wakelet. So I'll fix that for you. Thank you for telling me that it's not.
No, thank you, because I'm going to put your Wakelet right on my Schoology because
Good.
that was like, I always had those questions. How do I do this? How do I submit a picture? How do I submit this? And
Yeah, and I wish I could have gotten this stuff together last year, but it was just so busy and hectic in the spring. I did several, but I just couldn't get to everything. So
it was survival.
But yeah, I'll keep. And if you guys have suggestions to add to that, let me know. I added that into the Welcome to RMS course as well. It's in the Schoology folder, so it's there, and then it's also posted on the Teaching and Learning Hub for teachers and Student Hub for students, so you guys can get to that. But yeah, definitely put those in your Schoology courses. Tell students it's on the Student Hub, and let me know what else you want added, and I can keep adding resources too. And then speaking of that, we are right around 12:30 here. If you've got more questions on how to submit work in Schoology and some options that you might have with that, Robin and I are doing a session tomorrow on how to collect work in Schoology, and it's going to cover Google Drive assignments. It's going to cover, working with those pictures and videos from the Chromebook, from computers, and submitting that work. So definitely join us for that, and maybe get some ideas, or just find out where all those resources are to share with your students. And we are also doing Schoology Gradebook. So again, I know this is probably very familiar to most of you, but sometimes you learn something new that makes your life a million times easier. So definitely keep those in mind. They're optional. You can catch us live, or you can catch the recordings later. But otherwise, that's all I have, unless you guys have other questions.
All right, I'm going to end the stream now. Thank you all for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks.
Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.